Good morning. This is Brendan Rendo with the Homes in Orlando team at Next Home Neighborhood Realty, and joined like usual this morning, Joseph Dion of Appley Home Loans. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. What's up, champ? How you doing?
Great. And this is the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. Well, this morning, Joe and I were talking this week, and I think we wanted to talk about, because we're still in that multiple offer situation, is a little bit about the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting down thinking about it, I think we need to start from the beginning of the whole home buying process.
So it all starts when somebody gets a job and they start. Okay, not that far. Okay.
Not that
all right,
far.
I'll let you tell me where's the beginning.
No. The beginning really is starting the whole pre-approval process. Ooh. Not the pre-qualification, the pre-approval.
Wait. So pre-approval, there's something different between those two?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot difference between those two. And you know it. And I know it. And when you're preparing offers, especially in a competitive situation, you got to make sure everything's right. And it all goes back to being a great team with not only the realtor, but the loan officer, having a good understanding and communicating.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've worked, unfortunately had to work with some out-of-state lenders, and all they do is email and text you. And it's like, can you take 2 minutes and talk to me? I've got some questions. I want to make sure of some things before we go and max this person out on his home purchase.
Yeah.
Because you never want to put your client in a situation where they're going to lose.
Yeah.
Our whole job is to make sure that they win that house. And you've got to have that communication. And I got to compliment you, Joe, and your whole team, in that I tell people, because they're always asking me for, who do you recommend for lending? Who do you, and I tell them, hey, Joseph Dion of Appley Home Loans, because I know when he tells me you're approved, you're approved. I don't worry about closing. I really don't. I'm 100% sure that unless they really do something off the wall, it's going to get approved. And you and I have worked together for a long time, and we've built that relationship and we've built that trust. Yeah. Which is great. So when I send you a buyer, you do a true pre-approval, not a pre-qual. Explain to people, what is the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval?
So I think kind of the best way that I can give you an idea behind this, or to simplify it, is a pre-qualification really is an estimation of what they think somebody will qualify for. And that pre-approval is a definitive, and the reason why they're different is a pre-qual, and it's not something like, it's a pre-qual is somebody gives me information. I take what they give me and I kind of say, right around here. A pre-approval is they give me that information, but then they also give me the supporting documentation to justify that information, to confirm the accuracy of that information. And then from there, we're able to say, this is what you qualify for. And that's the biggest difference. And that's the hardest thing today, is when I talk to most clients, and this is why you have to have a strong realtor partner explaining the importance of this as well. A lot of clients are confused because there's advertisement, there's big companies out there that, talk about, like spaceships or something like this, that they make it super easy. And you never have to talk to an LO, and you just plug in your data and we run it through a validation system. But the problem is when you're plugging in that data, you typically are moving it pretty quickly. If you can get a number and a letter, never talked to anybody, it's never actually ran through an automated underwriting system, it's never confirmed or validated the information.
Whoa, hold on. You said something very important there. Automated underwriting system.
Yep.
Okay. keep going, but let's go back and let's explain what the automated underwriting systems are.
So absolutely. Okay. So, your automated underwriting system, and there's a couple different strategies. That was your cell phone saying, yeah, let's pause and talk about this.
Yep, exactly.
And automated underwriting system, we have typically Fannie Mae has one, DODU, then you have Freddie Mac has one, which is LPA. And they're basically systems, and VA, FHA, they all kind of run through these systems. And there's systems that basically say, hey, like, we take all the data that we validate and we put it into the system, and the system says you're good to go. It says, hey, you're approve eligible or you're accept eligible or something to that, depending on the source. Now, they run through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, all of them. And there's a couple little scenarios where you don't need that automated underwriting approval. But the problem on those, they're like manual underwriting scenarios. Mm-hmm. Those are going to be much more difficult.
Yeah.
Not as straightforward.
Yep. When you're saying validate information, what you're really talking about is you're validating someone's employment.
Yeah.
Correct? You're validating how much they have in their savings, their 401ks that they're using for down payment, that they're using for closing costs. Correct?
Yeah. Correct. And that's the big key is like, let's say you get a pay stub. And I'll give a very simple, it's an innocent scenario, right? Let's say someone makes, I don't know, let's say they make $21.50 an hour or $21.75 an hour. A lot of people will sit there and say, they'll plug, and they may put into the system, I make $22 an hour. Or they'll sit there and come up and let's say they make, $16 an hour, and they come up and they try to figure out that math, and they go, well, instead of, giving the exact number, they just round up. It's innocent, it's natural, because it's easier. It's like, oh, I make $3,500. Well, realistically, you might make $3,410, a month. But you put $3,500 because that's just an easy math for you. The problem is, well, then that's not what you're actually making. And sometimes the opposite happens. Some people sit there and say, oh, well, I only make $3,000 a month. And I look at the pay stubs and I get all their documentation. I said, oh, that's $3,000 after all your deductions are taken out. We use pre-deduction amount for qualifying.
Gross income.
So you go into that.
Well, here's one is, being self-employed and working a job where I was salary plus commission. A lot of times the first house I ever built, I just put, hey, I was making $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
But I had only been working with that one company for about 8 months. Didn't work. Why?
Well, and you mentioned self-employed there, right? So you're like a 1099 contractor. And that's an interesting one, right? It's like a lot of people are 1099 because they're like, oh, well, I'm 1099, but I only work with this company, so I'm employed by that company. The reality is as a 1099 contractor, you're going to file a Schedule C or something of that sort, and it's treated that you're self-employed. And you need typically 2 years of tax returns to validate that income, to average out that income so that we can show history moving forward. And what does everybody do? Like, one of the benefits of being 1099 is what? You get to write everything off. All those expenses that you're not writing off when you're a W-2 employee, you are when you're 1099. And we deal with it all the time. Borrowers that sit there and like, yeah, I make $120,000 a year, and we get their tax returns and we're like, well, 40. But you just said that it cost you $80,000 to do your job, so really you only make $40,000.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to the automated underwriting systems. When you're doing that, that's what I call a true pre-approval.
Yeah. That
you've verified everything. It's been run through the automated underwriting systems. You've got the approved eligible. That it basically just gives you a list of, okay, these are the items that I need.
Yep.
And actually makes it very simple because it takes a lot of the guessing out of it for you. As a real estate agent, when I've got a listing, one of the things I do, especially in multiple offer situations, is I will call every single lender for every pre-approval. And I'm asking them, I've got the benefit, I worked in lending for about 16 years. So I know a lot of the terms. And it shocks a lot of the lenders when you ask, hey, have you run them through an automated underwriting system? And they're like, what? Have you run them through an automated underwriting system? Do you have their income docs? These are questions we need to ask when we're accepting offers for our clients. Has the buyer been run through an automated underwriting system? Do you have all their income verification? Do you have all their savings information? Did you get an approved eligible?
Yeah.
Because you can feel, and this is where talking to people I think is so much more important than texting and other things, is you can hear it in their voice.
Yeah. Are they confident or not?
Are they confident or not? Because you will actually get, like I will ask you now, and I think it's extremely important, is if we're putting in an offer, is will you reach out to the listing agent and let them know that that our client has been run through, that our client is in good shape, that they're very strong, and we can get this done. We can get done quickly.
Yep. Exactly.
I think what a lot of people don't understand is when it's been run through that AUS, it really helps you guys in processing time. So that if we're in a competitive situation, and everyone's looking at 30 days, but you say, Brendan, if we can get the appraisal done or today and get the approval of the buyer and we get it done within a week, hey, maybe we can close in 18 to 20 days. And for a lot of sellers, that's a huge advantage for them. Yeah.
Yeah. So you definitely hit, like you notated, like processing. Most investors, and like the way we work here is we underwrite and like we process to the actual automated underwriting system's approval letter, meaning that if it says I need X, then I get X. Like if it says I need ABC, I get ABC. I don't go get D, E, and F. I only get A, B, and C. And sometimes if we put in, and this is why putting and having that data up front is important, is if I don't have the data, if I haven't validated, received the pay, the income, the assets, and all that stuff, and I'm just plugging in what the borrower gave me, and then I run that automated underwriting system, right? Is it valid? Maybe. I don't know. If I haven't received the documents, then I don't know how valid it is, because that system is only as good as what? The information we put in. So if we're able to put accurate information in, we get the most accurate findings out, and now we know exactly where we can go with it. And the positive here is, like, there's certain things and opportunities where that automated underwriting system is often the same is the same system that determines if we can get appraisal waivers. It's
huge these days.
It's the same system that determines, do I need 2 years tax returns or 1 year tax return? Like, so those things, and those are details that make a big difference for borrowers on the amount of paperwork that they have to provide.
And also how you're going to bid on a property.
Yeah.
That appraisal waiver is huge because a lot of times today people are having to go over list price. If they really want the home, they have to go over list price. And that's something I think, next week we'll get into a little bit more, appraisal contingencies, possibly waiving the appraisal, and the good and bad of all those types of things. Yeah. But as one thing I always do, and I tell you what, I love your new system because it makes my life so easy. It does, because we know when you provide me a pre-approval, a true pre-approval, I know the maximum that my client can qualify for. Yeah. So when I'm getting ready to put in an offer, I've got the MLS data sheet. Yeah. And I'm putting in the full information. I'm putting in, the price, and I'm putting in the taxes. And the taxes can vary greatly whether or not, based on whether or not a home is homesteaded or an investment property. Am I looking at $5,000 a year, or am I looking at $2,500 a year? And your system lets me go through that. And then also the insurance. I've got a great relationship with an insurance agent that I can call up and say, okay, here's the house. Can you do me a quick quote? Yeah. So I can do an accurate, because I think a lot of us were used to, okay, maybe 125, 150 a month.
Yeah. You go back 10 years. You go back 10 years, and that's how it was. It's like you could throw a dart, and I could be like, I can just use all this knowledge that we had and be like, I know. insurance is going to be this. I know that, it's going to get approved because it hits A, B, C, and D. And I don't like, just off of experience, I could sit there and say, is a loan good or bad? But now there's so much more. And a big part of that is, one of the things that I always joke, that automated underwriting system, it's very cool. It's a great system. But what does it also do? It tracks data. There's a reason why we have trending data on credit reports. We see things. So now the system knows, like, sometimes it'll be like, hey, this person, like textbook, they fit the guidelines, but they have this late from 2 years ago. They only make their minimum credit payments. They have this, their DTI's at a 47 back end ratio. Their front end's at a 42. And they don't have any months reserve. So A sits there and says, ooh, this person's risky, because we now have data of people that had that same scenario and how they performed. So if someone doesn't say, like, hey, they haven't ran AUS, there's not a guarantee that they're going to get approved eligible. It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, if the client is a strong client, and I always say this, 90% of buyers aren't buying significantly below their means.
No.
Meaning, you don't have buyers that are going in and be like, oh, my DTI is 30%. You have it sometimes, but most it's like, okay, we can go to 50, 49.99 on a conventional. And you'd be shocked at how many buyers are going to
they are right
49.9. Like, they're at the top, and it's hard not to, in this marketplace, to get to move. Like, so I understand the marketplace impacts that, but that's why that piece is crucial.
Yeah. And that's what's great is I can send you all the information. Let's run it real quick. Let's make sure we're still strong, because it also makes my life easier when I know I've got that relationship, with my lender, that, hey, they say it's done. I'm not going to sweat it. And the whole process should be a joy for people. It shouldn't be sitting there sweating. Oh my God, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Oh, he said this, I'm scrambling. I'm going to have to go get gift funds from my mom or my dad. Yeah. That's no fun. That takes all the joy out of it. And it should not, it should be a very joyful process in buying a home.
So step one, most important, don't get pre-qualified, get pre-approved. That's going to be your step one on making sure that as a buyer, you have the best chances of getting your contract accepted, is making sure you do that step.
Yep.
So what are we going to talk about next week?
Next week, I think we're going to get into some of the nuances of putting together a good offer.
Awesome.
We'll talk about the appraisal contingencies, that type of stuff, because people are going over. And I think that's very important to address next. But as you said, number one, get the true pre-approval. A lot of people, everyone's busy, but that 10, 15, 20 minutes it takes to get all your pay stubs, to get your bank statements, is going to save you so much stress and so much time in the process. And it's going to make you feel so confident. It makes me feel confident going in, making an offer that we've got this. We've got this. We structure this right. We're going to go in strong, and we're going to win this bid. And that's the key. That's real. That really is a key. So
perfect.
Excellent. Thank you for your time. Hopefully that was helpful for anyone. If anyone has any questions, always feel free to reach out to both Joe and I. We're here to answer any questions. Take care. Have a wonderful day.